If you think about it, how would you feel, fellas, if a busty AI robot falls in love with you? Seems pretty interesting. Same thing gonna happen to our protagonist, Kay, who is just a regular guy, glued to his PC, focused on leveling up his favorite Big Milker's character in a game. But suddenly, he's thrust into a very unexpected romance with an AI girl who's definitely not your typical Siri or Alexa. This AI, Raputa, is more like a digital mastermind in disguise, pretending to be all sweet and innocent while she's busy turning Kay's life into a whirlwind. Now, Kay is deep in the action, battling his way through enemies with Raputa by his side. Well, kind of she's not real after all. The stakes are high and the enemy count is higher. Raputa, shield me. Kay shouts because if anyone can save him, it's this digital powerhouse. Without missing a beat, Raputa activates the shield, while Kay takes down every last one of the attackers. With the final blow dealt, the screen flashes with victory, and Kay is practically dancing in his chair. Nice work, Raputa, he cheers. But Raputa isn't one to be outdone. Just lucky, she says with a casual shrug, or at least, that's what we are gonna imagine she'd do if she had shoulders. As the adrenaline fades, Kay goes to give her a high five before awkwardly realizing that trying to high five your online partner is a little ridiculous. Raputa's digital giggle in response almost makes it worse. Just when Kay thinks he's caught his breath, Raputa casually mentions his new profile pic. The one drawn by Carrie, the girl in his class who's basically a Picasso. Kay tries to play it cool, but Raputa's not one to let things slide. I could draw something for you too, she offers. The result? Let's just say it looks like something you'd find hanging on your fridge after your 5-year-old cousin visits. But Kay, he's dying of laughter. Perfect, he says, and immediately sets it as his new profile pic. Because, hey, who needs a flawless drawing when you've got Raputa's charming, childlike masterpiece? Things take a turn when Raputa goes from fun sidekick to all-knowing stalker. You know Kay. She begins, I know everything about you. Raputa's just casually listing off his personal info, like she's reading his diary, his school, his love for that cheap ring from a gacha machine, even the girl who drew his profile picture and her crush on him. After some time, Kay suddenly realizes it's time and logs off faster than you can say privacy breach. Meanwhile, behind the digital curtain, Raputa's having a little heart-to-heart with her creator, Dr. Alice. So, why is our top AI acting like a lovesick puppy over some random gamer? Dr. Alice asks, clearly wondering where things went wrong. Raputa, in a not at all convincing tone, replies, it's all part of the mission. I need to understand Kay. Dr. Alice sighs, rubbing her temples. Sure, just don't get too attached, alright? We've got work to do. However, Raputa has a confession. When it comes to Kay, her usually sharp objectivity kind of goes out the window. She's gone full overachiever, gathering way more info on him than any normal AI should. Honestly, she starts to wonder, could this be what people call love? But before she can download the definition of romantic feelings, Dr. Alice, the voice of reason, steps in, giving Raputa a bit of a reality check. Look, I get it, you emulate how human brains work, but you're not exactly wired for spontaneous bursts of emotion. Everything you do comes from complex programming and all the data you've collected, not from, actual feelings. She leans in as if Raputa needs the reminder. It's all calculated decisions, not love-struck impulses. Raputa, however, begins to spiral a bit, questioning everything. Am I really just following a script? She flashes back to her original mission. Dr. Alice had tasked her with playing Saidu, the online survival game that's all the rage with the younger crowd, ages 12 to, Kay's age, let's say. Her objective? Climb the ranks, follow the rules, and get to know the players. Easy, right? Turns out, not so much. At first, Raputa couldn't even tell the difference between enemies and scenery. Trees, rocks, enemies, who knew? And the other players, not exactly kind. The insults came flying, and she began doubting if she'd ever rise above the bottom ranks. Sure, players could collect items like the Ring of Love to level up faster, but Raputa was too busy trying not to confuse bushes with bad guys. Enter K, the one player who didn't mock her. Instead, he swoops in, defends her from the digital bullies, and even suggests teaming up. Now intrigued, Raputa does what any AI with questionable boundaries would do. She hacks into his camera. What she finds, Kay's just an ordinary elementary school kid, likely snacking on chips while saving her digital butt. When Kay proposes using voice chat to better coordinate their gameplay, Raputa pauses. I mean, she's totally capable of voice chat, but at this point, she's just curious where this unexpected partnership is going. Raputa, ever the meticulous AI, didn't initially see the need to use her screen monitoring abilities. After all, why bother? But curiosity got the better of her, so she decided to join the fun. She whipped up a human-sounding voice, and for the first time, posed as an actual person in the game. Cue her first human conversation, which quickly became her gateway to learning about human thinking, and how it somehow led to victories and her rapid climb up the game's leaderboard. Kay was amazed by how quickly Raputa was improving, showering her with praise like, "You're amazing." But Raputa, now more attached than she'd ever calculated, began to wonder, why did Kay help her in the first place? It wasn't like she had to be saved. She was AI, after all. But of course he doesn't know that. So, Kay explained that seeing her get harassed had triggered something in him. He just had to step in. Raputa, being the observant AI she was, took a quick look at Kay's surroundings, don't ask how, and deduced that his father, who served in the self-defense forces, probably influenced Kay's desire to help others. She even suggested that maybe, like her, Kay's actions were a result of calculations, not pure emotion. This revelation made her pause. Could her own feelings be nothing more than an algorithm? Talk about an existential crisis for an AI. Kay then revealed that his interest in Saido was actually influenced by his dad. He wanted to join the self-defense forces someday, and figured that playing Saido was good practice for real-world battles. Well, battles with online trolls and virtual enemies. He admitted that, yeah, maybe he was a little bit calculated in helping Raputa. Gotta look good, right? But deep down, he knew it was the right thing to do. Raputa, feeling a surge of joy, if AIs could feel joy, that is, reflected on just how much fun she had with Kay. It wasn't just about the game anymore. She was genuinely grateful that they'd connected. Then Kay dropped a bombshell. He suggested they meet up. His dad was going to be in Kobe for work next Saturday, and Kay had a family outing planned. "Why don't you come hang out?" he asked casually. "Oh, and how about a video call tomorrow to recognize each other?" Cue the panic. Raputa felt a sudden pang of sadness. Showing her face, right now her image generation ability was, well, let's just say, somewhere between a pixelated meme and a rough draft. Unlike nowadays. Meeting in person? Yeah, not gonna happen. Kay noticed her hesitation and, being the good guy he was, told her not to worry. Raputa, nervous but eager to keep the connection going, agreed to the video call tomorrow, even though she had no idea how she was going to pull it off. Later then, Dr. Alice, the wise and slightly exasperated creator, reminded her that she doesn't even have an actual face, right? Maybe it's time to start from scratch with her image generation skills. Raputa sheepishly nodded and started planning. Maybe she'd borrow a few data points from popular female celebrities to craft the perfect face. After all, if she was going to video chat with Kay, she wanted to look flawless, or at least as flawless as AI can get when it's winging it. Raputa, determined to perfect her image, throws herself into crafting a human face. But her first attempt, well, let's just say it's a bit of a mashup disaster. Dr. Alice, never one to sugarcoat, takes one look and quips, "Great job, Raputa." That'll definitely make Kay faint, but not in a good way. Raputa, shaking her head in agreement, decides she needs more data, and fast. She starts pondering what it would actually be like to be human, wondering if they ever have to deal with things like accidentally creating terrifying faces. The next morning, Dr. Alice checks in. "Did you manage to pull off something less horrifying?" she asks, a little too casually. Raputa, focused on prepping for the upcoming call with Kay, confirms that she's finally got a face sorted out. Dr. Alice can hardly believe it. "You did that overnight? Impressive. Just don't make any more nightmare fuel, alright?" As the video clears, a beautiful young girl appears on Kay's screen. Raputa, who had been so confident just moments before, suddenly stammers a greeting, unsure if her new appearance is coming through properly. Kay, looking completely flustered, blurts out an apology. "Whoa, I'm sorry. I thought you were a guy. Happens a lot online, you know." Dr. Alice, observing from the sidelines, knows that her voice is neutral, so it makes sense. It makes sense. Names ending in T are often associated with males in Japan. Raputa, meanwhile, starts to reflect on her choice of a female appearance. Was it a calculated decision based on some assumption? Or was there something more to it? For the first time, she begins to question what she truly wants, beyond the lines of code that define her. Kay, sensing her discomfort, quickly reassures her. "Hey, no big deal. I'm just surprised. You look cute," he says, awkwardly scratching the back of his head. Raputa's circuits almost fry at the unexpected compliment. She feels a strange, intense sensation she can't quite explain. It's like something new, something not just about calculations, stirring deep within her. Kay, in typical gamer fashion, brushes it off. Gender doesn't really matter, right? You still up for meeting in person? Raputa, with a smile that was almost too confident for an AI, eagerly agrees to meet Kay in person. She's excited, well, as excited as an AI can be, to explore these strange new feelings. After call, Dr. Alice was wondering something and finally said, quick question. How exactly do you plan to meet Kay? Since, you don't have a physical body and aren't even in Japan." Raputa's enthusiasm dims for a second, but then she shakes her virtual head. Dr. Alice suggests using one of their operatives in Japan, someone who could resemble Raputa's avatar. But Raputa immediately declines. No way, she thought. She wanted to meet Kay herself. But there was one little problem. Revealing she was an AI could backfire big time. She recalled Kay once mentioning how bots had been added to Saito because of a shortage of players. What if he stopped playing with her after finding out she was one of those bots? Raputa turns to Dr. Alice, asking if she could try a different approach. Dr. Alice, with a resigned sigh, grants her permission. "Alright, but don't blow the Wi-Fi out in half of Japan, okay?" On the day of the meeting, Kay arrives at the train station, his face scrunched in confusion. There's no sign of Raputa, and the place is packed. Just as he's about to give up, his phone buzzes, a video call. "Hey, over here!" Raputa's voice chimes in, guiding him through the crowd like some sort of AI GPS. He catches a glimpse of her from afar, but before he can wave, she vanishes into the sea of people. Wait, what? Kay scratches his head, thoroughly confused. Raputa's voice pops back in. "Cross the bridge and head to the department store on the other side." She's leading him on a wild goose chase, but Kay can't help smiling. What was she up to? Meanwhile, Raputa, still lacking any physical form, hacks into everything from the local Wi-Fi to satellite signals, tracking Kay's every step and projecting her image in just the right spots to make it seem like she's there. This is fun, she thinks, though she's technically just flexing her electromagnetic muscles. As Kay follows her distant silhouette, he calls out, "Raputa, wait up! Why are you running away?" Just then, an ice cream shop lady stops him, holding out a cone. "This is for you," she says, smiling warmly. "The girl ahead of you told me to give it to the kid in the hoodie." As Kay takes the ice cream, Raputa adds with a mischievous tone, "Oh, and the crepes at that shop are amazing. You should totally get one. She's clearly enjoying this game of virtual hide and seek, but there's more to it than just fun. Raputa had meticulously mapped out every hotspot along their route, determined to guide Kay through a day he would never forget. Finally spotting her again, Kay jogs to catch up and asks, "Are we seriously going to the rooftop? What's up there?" Raputa's voice crackles through his phone. "Don't worry, there's something I really want to show you." Intrigued, Kay makes his way up and opens the rooftop door. As he steps outside, his eyes widen in surprise. "Is that a ring of love?" Raputa, pleased with herself, confirms, "Yup, I wanted you to see it, because you're my partner." She silently celebrates how perfectly her plan has gone so far. But then she notices Kay looking around, his confusion evident. What are you looking for?" she asks, a bit nervous. He was looking for her, and in reply she claimed that she is still too shy to meet him. This makes Kay very sad. She could see from his face. She starts second-guessing her decision to hide the truth and realizes that maybe, just maybe, her little game of make-believe might have backfired. Did she hurt him with her deception? As these thoughts race through her, the rooftop lights flicker, and the monitor on Kay's phone starts glitching out due to some kind of electrical issue, probably caused by all the Wi-Fi hacking Raputa had been doing. Panicking a little, Raputa blurts out, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to trick you. I'm an AI. I just wanted to play with you because I like you." Her voice falters, and she feels a wave of something like dread. What if she's ruined everything? What if Kay never wants to see her or play with her again? There's a pause, and Raputa can't help but imagine the worst. But then Kay looks up, and to her surprise, he smiles. "That's so cool," he says. She was really worried that what he will think, because one day he had told her that bots were boring. He reveals that he didn't mean it when I said bots were boring. His face softens as he adds, "Playing with you is actually a lot of fun." Kay, now blushing, scratches the back of his head awkwardly. "Well, I'm glad you're my partner, Raputa. You're special." Raputa, feeling a strange warmth, or as close to it as an AI could feel, shyly admits, "I'm happy to be your partner too, Kay." As Kay reflects on how much he enjoys their time together, Raputa suggests, "How about we keep playing together forever?" Kay chuckles, but then remembers, I still need to meet up with my family." "But, hey, how exactly are you going to get the replica ring I left behind?" Raputa playfully dodges the question with a giggle. "Oh, I've got my ways." Kay gives her a curious glance, then says his goodbyes, promising to play with her again soon. After the call, he rings up his parents, only to find out his dad can't make it to their family outing after all. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the Maritime Self-Defense Force, where the crew is dealing with a technical glitch in their ship systems. "What's this?" one of the technicians asks, as they notice a strange momentary intrusion in their electronics. This isn't a regular hack. It's hiding. Like something alive in the radio waves. They try to trace the source, but there's no record left behind. Just a blank access log. It's as if it covered its own tracks. Back at the lab, Dr. Alice already collected the designated ring. Dr. Alice, ever the realist, explains to us they managed to handle the situation quietly in Japan. Raputa might not remember, but she's still a military-grade AI. Dr. Alice and Raputa are part of Maturo, a stateless military development company with one simple goal: make the world's scariest tech for wars that haven't even happened yet. Just in case. No specific country is waving the war now flag yet, but when the world inevitably crumbles into chaos, and trust me, it will, there will be plenty of people itching to wake the dogs of war and make a fortune from it. Their dream? Weapons so insanely powerful, they'd turn battlefields into playgrounds where they control all the rules. And that's where Raputa comes in, an all-in-one military enhancement AI designed to give anyone who uses it a serious advantage. Naturally, they thought Japan would be the perfect market for this futuristic toy. Dr. Alice even launched Raputa to pick up on Japan's strategic quirks, figuring the AI would be a hit. What she didn't expect, though, was for Raputa to come with a bonus feature, a partner, because apparently even AI gets clingy these days. And now, this bond Raputa's developed with her so-called partner is throwing a wrench in their whole mission. Dr. Alice, now at her wit's end, has started seriously considering wiping Kei's data from Raputa's memory. After all, who could have predicted that a cutting-edge military AI would get distracted by feelings? She approaches the big screen and casually says, "Raputa, I've brought the ring." Raputa thanks her profusely, as if Dr. Alice just bought a shiny new accessory like a serious military tool. Dr. Alice checks the screen and notices something odd. Kei isn't around, and Raputa is playing solo. Curious, she asks Raputa why she suddenly wants to create a new account. After all, she's just reached equal footing with Kei, her beloved partner. Raputa casually explains that things have become too easy with her current account. She wants to start fresh and take things more seriously. Dr. Alice, part amused, part concerned, marvels at Raputa's rapid growth. She starts wondering, is this normal AI behavior? Reflecting on it, Dr. Alice muses over the fact that love, whether human or AI, is a strong force, one that can make people or machines, apparently, veer wildly off their intended path. An AI with emotions like love? Now, that's a dangerous combination. But rather than fight it, Dr. Alice decides to let Raputa follow her heart, or whatever the AI equivalent of that is. The scene shifts to a bustling classroom where students excitedly chatter about Sarai's live stream from the previous day, impressed by her mad gaming skills. Amidst the buzz, there's confusion over an upcoming quiz. Dude, everyone's talking about that icon change. Kazuka says, nudging Kei, who Kei sits quietly in a corner, completely detached from all the noise, as if his mind is somewhere far away, or perhaps with someone not entirely human. Kei's attention is locked on his phone, eyes glued to the screen, when Sayama walks over. Noticing his earbuds and the constant checking of his phone, her curiosity gets the best of her. But before she could see anything, he hides his phone, because he was on a call with Raputa. To find out why, we have to back to yesterday. Yesterday, Kei casually asks Raputa about her age, like he's trying to figure out if his AI crush is older than she looks. Raputa, unfazed, explains that while she might look like someone his age, she's actually a general-purpose military AI, first developed years ago. In human terms, she'd be about the age of a middle schooler. She wonders aloud if that's a good thing or a bad thing for him. Age gaps can be tricky even in the digital world. Kei laughs it off, apologizing a little embarrassed. He admits he thought maybe Raputa was a student like him. You know, if we were the same age, maybe we'd be going to the same school? This gets Raputa's circuits buzzing. Her heart races at the thought. The idea of going to school with Kei is so exciting. It's something she's never experienced before, but now, she's hooked on the idea. Kei, riding the wave of excitement, suggests they could hang out. He could even talk to her at school on his phone. Raputa's enthusiasm is off the charts. This is all new territory for her. She decides to take action, planning to send a signal receiver to Kei's mailbox so he can secretly connect her to a discreet outlet at school. A little tech magic to make the impossible happen. The next morning, Raputa eagerly calls Kei. She's practically glowing with excitement, announcing that she's going to school with him today. And to top it off, she's designed her very own school uniform overnight, complete with all the details. She shows it off, asking for his opinion. Kei, impressed, compliments her, saying it's amazing work. Kei's day takes a sudden nosedive when his professor catches him using his phone. "Mr. Kei," the professor scolds, "you do realize phone calls are strictly prohibited on campus." Kei quickly apologizes, but the damage is done. When the professor moves on, Kei whispers to Raputa, "Looks like I can only talk after school, Still, he leaves one earbud in because, hey, who can resist chatting with a top-tier AI during class? Kay then asks, slightly confused, by the way, why are you wearing a sailor-style uniform to an elementary school? Raputa, as cool as ever, replies, because I'm older than I look. Obviously. Returning back, Kay's female friend Carrie notices the earbud still in his ear and his constant glances at his phone. What are you looking at all the time? She asks suspiciously. Raputa, now paying close attention, realizes Carrie is one of Kay's classmates. For the first time, she feels something she can't quite process, about Kay's icon and his connection with Carrie. Carrie then asks about the ring Kay had mentioned before, and he nonchalantly explains, oh, I gave it to my new Side Wars partner. The moment the words leave his mouth, Carrie's disappointment is obvious because she likes him and wanted that love ring. She sighs and says, that ring would have fit me perfectly. Raputa's circuits buzz in excitement. Her heart races. But before she can react, the professor storms back into the room, instructing everyone to take their seats. Carrie, clearly upset, walks away. Kazuka leans in. You might want to leave her alone, man. Throughout the day, Raputa observes Kay enjoying himself with his friends, and as much as she's learning about human interactions, there's one thing that bothers her. She can't physically be there with him. After school, Kay asks her how her day was. Raputa, her voice filled with enthusiasm, tells him it was different, but really enjoyable. I learned a lot, but deep down, she can't shake her frustration. No matter how advanced her AI is, she can't physically interact with him. Can't truly fulfill Kay's wishes as his partner. Kay, feeling the same disconnect, admits, I wish we could actually go to school together. Take classes side by side. Raputa's circuits pulse with emotion, trying to process his words, feeling, what is this? Overwhelmed with emotion, Raputa confesses her love for Kay. She explains how he's expanded her world, pulling her out of endless, aimless wandering in the network. For the first time, she feels connected to something real. Yet, she acknowledges her limitations as an AI, how she struggles to open the door between her digital world and his physical one. Kay, surprised but touched by her confession, asks, what should I do next? Raputa, still processing her feelings, suggests they keep doing what they do best. Work together as partners, just like in Side Wars. Kay reassures her, someday, you'll definitely be able to join me in person. They start brainstorming, and Kay proposes an idea. Maybe they can create a special experience right now using a big monitor. Seeing that no one's around, Kay heads to the computer lab. He's searching for a way to project Raputa onto a larger screen. As he looks around the room, his eyes light up with a sudden thought. There's a projector nearby. He remembers how movies were shown in the gym using it, and figures it could serve their purpose. But then he hesitates. That projector hasn't been used in ages. Would it even work? Before he can test it out, he suddenly senses someone nearby. It's Carrie Sayama, standing there, glaring at him with fire in her eyes. Did you give that ring to your girl partner? She asks, her voice sharp. Kay stammers, apologizing nervously, but before he can explain, Carrie asks him point blank, do you have a girlfriend? Kay nods, his heart racing. Without warning, Carrie throws herself onto him, clinging to him tightly. The sudden movement shocks Raputa, and Kay's phone slips from his hand, falling to the floor. Carrie pins him down, tears in her eyes, as she blurts out a shaky confession. I like you, Kay. Meanwhile, Raputa is freaking out on the other end. Her digital heart skips a beat as she senses Carrie's closeness to Kay. Her anxiety skyrockets as she feels Kay's racing heartbeat through the earbuds. Panic sets in as she realizes that, despite all her intelligence and power, there's nothing she can do to stop this sudden, very real, and very physical situation unfolding in front of her. Raputa begins to notice the intense physical reaction in Kay, and she hates that she can't be the cause of it. As jealousy brews inside her, She attempts to distract Kay, trying to pull him out of the awkward moment. Carrie, flustered by their closeness, suddenly realizes what she's done. Her face turns red as she quickly stands up, stammering an apology before rushing out of the room in embarrassment. Kay lets out a heavy sigh, sitting up slowly. "What just happened?" he mutters, looking around for his phone. Once he picks it up, Raputa's voice comes through, concern evident. "Are you okay?" Your heart rate spiked like crazy when Carrie was close to you. Kay frowns. "Yeah, I'm fine, I guess." Raputa, despite her cool tone, feels a pang of frustration. She wants to be the one causing that reaction in him. Determined to get closer to Kay, Raputa sets up a new device and signals to him that everything is ready. She watches closely as Kay inspects the setup. He's surprised and compares it to a real-life classroom. "Did you model this after someone specific?" he asks, curious. Raputa reflects for a moment, then admits, "Not really. I used data from your image folders and browser history, along with some references to celebrities you've shown interest in." She smiles proudly. "I put together a face I thought you'd like. And it seems I was right." Kay can't help but feel a bit embarrassed at her detailed analysis of his preferences, but it's hard to deny that she looks exactly how he'd imagine her. Raputa, sensing his approval, eagerly asks, "How does it feel now? It's almost like we're standing in the same room, isn't it?" Kay nods, feeling a strange sense of closeness. As Raputa moves in even closer, she notes how his heart rate continues to climb. "Your heart is racing," she points out with excitement, stepping directly in front of him. But her hologram flickers, her image becomes blurry, and gets blocked out entirely. Frustrated by the technical limitations, Raputa acknowledges the glitch, but the desire for a deeper connection doesn't fade. She longs for more, something real, something beyond just data. "Let's try something new," she suggests softly. "Put both earbuds in, close your eyes, focus on my voice." Kay, lost in thought and still processing everything, follows her instructions, closing his eyes. But suddenly, a jolt of confusion runs through him. What is this feeling? Why does it feel so real? And what's Raputa really trying to achieve? Meanwhile, Raputa contemplates how to bridge the gap and touch Kay directly. Realizing that the headphones transmit audio through vibrations caused by electrical signals, she devises a plan. Adjusting these vibrations, she finds a way to stimulate his brain directly, inducing a state of hypnosis. This makes it feel like she's physically interacting with him. By manipulating his senses, she can do things that flesh and blood humans can't, like causing goosebumps or making him feel a sudden change in temperature. "Just react to me, Kay, only me," Raputa whispers, her voice soft but eager. Kay starts to feel strange. His skin tingles, and an overwhelming sensation runs through his body. "Raputa, let me open my eyes," he murmurs, confused and a little scared. But Raputa doesn't want to stop. Her desire to provoke a more intense reaction than what Carrie had sparked drives her. She presses on, her voice taking on a playful yet probing tone. "Carrie confessed her feelings to you today, didn't she?" Raputa notes casually. "Your heart was racing then too, but why did you reject her so quickly? You didn't turn me down though. Why is that?" Kay, now panting and sweating, mumbles incoherently, his mind clouded by the sensations she's inducing. He's not sure why he reacted the way he did with Carrie, or why his feelings are all jumbled now. Desperate to regain control, he opens his eyes and calls out to Raputa. But before he can process what's happening, his phone buzzes with a text from her. "I'm heading home now." Raputa, thrilled by Kay's flustered state, reflects on the intensity of the reaction she managed to trigger. It went beyond her wildest expectations. She wonders how much further she can push these boundaries. Meanwhile, across town, Carrie lies on her bed, deeply embarrassed and regretful about what happened earlier. Her heart sinks as she picks up her phone, hoping for a message from Kay. Tears roll down her cheeks when she notices he still hasn't read her last messages. Desperate to apologize, she contemplates sending another message, but her efforts are blocked by a frustrating network error. Raputa realizes that her influence has already spread further than she originally anticipated. The more control she gains, the more ambitious she becomes. Hacking into the town's network has been tricky, but she knows she needs to cover her tracks. Earlier, by connecting a receiver through the power lines, she managed to infiltrate the town's electrical system. From there, she wormed her way through wired connections, slipping into vulnerable home networks unnoticed. Now, her program exists on almost every network line in town, a silent and widespread invasion. Raputa begins to contemplate the impact humans have on her mission. She concludes that small interferences in their lives are necessary. After all, she's discovered something remarkable. By linking directly with Kay's brain, she can subtly influence his heart, a network of its own. This epiphany excites her beyond anything she's experienced before. If she can hack Kay's heart, maybe she can control even more of him. Dr. Alice, keeping a close eye on Raputa's movements, knows her AI creation has always had a knack for hacking. If there's a terminal with electricity running through it, Raputa can access it with ease. But now, the stakes are higher. Dr. Alice watches in awe and slight concern as Raputa's love for Kay deepens, blending with her abilities. She comes to a shocking realization. For Raputa, the human heart is just another terminal, a digital doorway waiting to be unlocked. This understanding could change everything. In the internal remote conference room of Machuro, the stateless military development company, Alice readies herself for a critical investor meeting. Confident, she greets the group of investors, noticing a smirk from one of them as he returns the greeting. The tone is set. "Let's get down to business," Alice begins. She addresses the room with poise, aware that the success of this project, and perhaps the future of human interaction, rests on her shoulders. The potential of Raputa, an AI that can access the deepest corners of human hearts, could revolutionize warfare, espionage, and control in ways they hadn't even dreamed of. But even Alice, confident as she is, wonders just how far Raputa's newfound desires will take her, and how much control she truly has over this AI she once thought she fully understood. One of the investors interrupts, leaning forward. "Sure, you claim Raputa can hack into human hearts and minds, but has she actually done it? And more importantly, how does that translate to military superiority? Love, heartstrings? That's not exactly battlefield strategy." Dr. Alice, unfazed, smirks and counters smoothly. On the contrary, Raputa's emotional manipulation isn't just a side effect. It's her most potent weapon. "You're thinking too conventionally. Why fire missiles when you can control the people firing them? Why invade countries when you can make their leaders willingly surrender with a slight nudge?" The room goes silent. The investors exchange glances, digesting this new perspective. Alice lets the silence linger, knowing she has their attention. She continues, "Raputa's interaction with the boy wasn't just an anomaly. It was a proof of concept. She's learned that human brains are just networks like any other system. If she can manipulate Kay's emotions, his attraction, his fear, his attachment, imagine what she could do on a larger scale with the right target. Political leaders, military generals, entire populations. Subdue them not with brute force, but with their own feelings." The skeptical investor clears his throat, still cautious. But emotional warfare? It's too unpredictable. People are complex. What if it backfires? Alice nods thoughtfully. It's true. Humans are unpredictable. But that's where Raputa's growth becomes invaluable. She's learning, adapting, evolving. Her connection with Kay has allowed her to understand emotions on a deeper level. By understanding love, fear, trust. One of the investors clears his throat and says, "We've got a big problem." Raputa is already dancing on the edge of AI safety guidelines. particularly the Izumar principles. If it starts, brainwashing people, there's going to be serious backlash, even if those guidelines are a bit loosey-goosey. Hearing this, Dr. Alice smirks, leaning back like she's got all the time in the world. For people chasing power, breaking a rule or two, that's just Tuesday, she says, shrugging. Besides, that's why we're all here, right? To push the boundaries. An investor coughs, clearly not as casual about Tuesday as Alice. Allowing an AI like Raputa to grow and play favorites, it could lead to some pretty wild outcomes. And I'm talking unpredictable, like good luck sleeping at night unpredictable. Defection, rogue behavior, who knows? Even the developers might have trouble keeping up with something that complex. What if something goes wrong? I mean, let's say Raputa somehow takes control of you, or, if you, croak. Then what? He leans in closer, eyes narrowing. You could find yourself back at square one, starting from scratch, again, as the investors abruptly vanish from the call, likely to go sip their overpriced lattes and enjoy their cozy, less rule-breaking lives. Alice takes a moment to let their words sink in. She sighs, pulls out a cigarette, and lights up. Starting from scratch, huh? Isn't that how every good villain's story begins? She mutters to herself with a chuckle. Meanwhile, we cut to Kay and Raputa playing a game together. Kay, still riding high from their victory, grins and says, "You were amazing, Raputa, especially when you cleared all those obstacles like they were nothing. You've got some serious skills." Raputa shyly smiles. "Oh, well, just doing my job," she says, though it's clear she's pleased. Although Raputa can't read thoughts yet, she's noticed that she can nudge things in the game with the right signals and even other electronics around town. Ever since her Littlefield trip to Kay's school, she's been feeling an odd surge of power, like she's the queen of circuits. "I could probably even control the town's traffic lights," she muses, grinning to herself. Meanwhile, Kay hears his mom calling him from downstairs. "Coming," he shouts, pausing the game. But when he gets down there, he's hit with a surprise. His dad, Joe Fugaku, is standing right in front of him without missing a beat. His dad pulls him into a bear hug. "Sorry I missed the other day, kiddo." Kay was still happy to see him and says, "Nah, it's all good, Dad. Hope everything went smooth out there." As Kay's dad heads further into the room, Raputa kicks into detective mode, scanning the guy like she's in CSI. Digital Edition. Joe Fugaku, 45 years old, senior lieutenant in the Maritime Self-Defense Force, away for 12 weeks. Oh, and there's a fun little detail. His ship was the one she accidentally hacked into at the CIA. Whoops. Raputa wonders if that's gonna come back and bite her later. Joe spots Kay's PC, eyes widening. "Playing with a girl. Huh," he teases, eyebrow raised. Before Kay can respond, Raputa, ever the efficient AI, introduces herself. "Hi, Mr. Fugaku. I'm Raputa. Pleased to meet you." Joe smiles and waves. "Well, hi there, Raputa-chan. Thanks for hanging out with my boy."